Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and yeah, male birth control. Let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and let's talk about this. Now some guys are going to go, why is this fitness related? Well, it's fitness related because these guys are given injectable testosterone, basically. There was a mixture, but it was testosterone. These guys were given what's called by brand name Nibido, I believe that's how it's pronounced, Nibido. You guys know what I'm talking about. Testosterone undecoinate. Well, it's normally an 8 to 12 week kit when it's used for TRT purposes. And what they were given was 1,000 milligrams of this once every 8 weeks. Now, keep in mind, it can last up to 12 weeks in the system, so it's fine for it to be a once every 8 week shot. They ran it for a year. All right, they ran it for a year. Now, keep in mind, guys, we're talking about basically a low replacement dose of testosterone. I mean, it's 125 milligrams a week, maybe slightly weaker than the same amount of cypionate or inothate. Because of the ester weight. So this is a modest amount of testosterone. Now what's interesting, what they were given is an amount that in studies shows slightly more muscle gain than drug-free people. Even though it's technically a replacement dose, it is a continual amount. It's not an undulating amount through the day. It holds you at the high normal level and keeps you there 24 hours a day. That has a significant anabolic benefit. We've noted that in studies. You will gain muscle from that. And then they combined it with progesterone, a very low dose of progesterone, because the progesterone let them run lower doses of the testosterone for less side effects, right? Less side effects, while still giving additional suppression of their natural sperm production, because progesterone is actually good at that. A lot of guys don't understand that when they talk about progesterone in the anabolic world. Progesterone can increase sex drive. So what ended up happening with this, these men complained, and the reason they discontinued it, too many of the men complained about the side effects, the hormonal side effects. Now that's going to be funny because women are furious over this because they take a lot of risks. Female birth control is actually pretty dangerous. It does carry health risks. It will lower a woman's life expectancy. They do suffer a lot of side effects. It's not the best thing in the world. And so women are complaining about that. But what the breakthrough with this would have been that, technically the health risks are actually lower for the male birth control here. A replacement dose of testosterone with a little progesterone shouldn't harm your health in any way. It really shouldn't. In fact, since it's a replacement dose, it's not really going to be a problem there. Furthermore, we know that men with low testosterone who are given a replacement dose actually have better health. They have lower heart attack rates, lower stroke rates, everything else. We have large-scale studies on that at this point that we know that TRT is healthy. Again, we're not talking about excessive amounts of testosterone here, enough that are going to negatively harm blood work and all of that. So it should be safe from a health perspective, but the men couldn't handle the side effects. But the crazy thing is the ones women take have more side effects than this should have, and it has worse effects on the health. So these guys are basically being a bunch of pussies. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Any guys here who've done gear know the side effects on this are going to be very, very mild, because most guys here who've done gear have done 4 or 5, some of them 10 times the amount that's in that prescription and have survived it. Now, they put up with some side effects, but again, all you guys, the gear users are laughing. You guys are laughing, and even guys on TRT are laughing about these guys complaining about the side effects. You know what the side effects were? They got acne. A lot of them got acne, not all of them. A lot of them got acne that they complained about. They had increased sex drive. They had too much sex drive. They got too horny. Is this really a problem if you're on birth control in a relationship? I don't know, guys. I don't think so. Their sex drive went too high, and they had some mood swings. And the side effects were enough that enough men complained that they discontinued it after 1 year, the actual testing on this. So it may not go into production because too many men didn't like side effects. Really, guys, a little acne and your dick getting hard? Come on. Get real. Furthermore, if you get acne from testosterone or anabolics, it's usually poor hygiene. Now, some people are going to argue about certain cystic acnes and everything. These guys weren't taking large amounts of drugs. Most guys who get acne purely from testosterone are usually not clean enough. They don't bathe enough with hot water and soap often enough. They need to shower more. They need to be more clean, and they'll generally not have the acne. A few guys are exceptions. There are a few guys, a very small minority of guys. So I don't want all you guys to think, if you get acne because you're on gear that you're automatically dirty. Just odds are you are, but a lot of you are the exception. You actually are clean. You're like, I'm showering twice a day with soap. I shower every time I train, every time I do cardio. I still get acne. Well, you're just genetically prone to it, but you're a very small minority. It's not enough people that's a major issue. Most of the guys who get acne from it, they're just not bathing enough. They're not using enough soap when they shower or when they're bathing and things. The sex drive there. Guys are really complaining about sex drive? Seriously? Seriously? Come on, guys. Sex drive being a negative side effect. Oh my God, what a world we live in. Guys are taking a substance that allows them to have sex without knocking their partner up, and they're going to complain because their sex drive's up. What does this world come to? Now, as far as the effectiveness, it turns out it's 92.5% effective. That's maybe where they have the problems. Like, well, if something's only works for 9 out of 10 guys successfully, then, maybe it shouldn't have that many side effects. We just can't deal with that. But the ironic part is that that's actually really good. A 92.5% success rate, pretty good. And here's the thing about this. This really kind of changes things. Honestly, this is a game changer for men. A product like this could really do a lot as far as what we talk about men's rights versus women's rights and everything. Think about it for a minute. How many men get trapped into a relationship or trapped into child support or something that they don't want to pay because a woman chose not to use birth control or condom failed and she chose to have a baby that he didn't want? Right? This happens to a lot of guys. A lot of guys complain about that. You know what this does? This gives both parties an equal ability to have responsibility. And that's a really important thing. We live in a world to where abortion is sometimes used as a form of birth control. And when we live in a world to where being a biological parent can force you into certain legal and financial obligations. And again, we live in a world where we have sex. We all have sex drives. We have needs. People are going to have sex. All right, you can't just say, well, if you have sex, you have to accept the consequences. No, not always. That's why technologies like this exist. We could say that about certain STDs, but you know what? That's why condoms exist. For people who aren't in a monogamous relationship, that's why condoms exist. Technology helps prevent these problems. And this is a case of, again, the consequence being if both parties have the ability, the man and the woman both have the ability to prevent a pregnancy from happening when they have sex, because both of them have access to birth control, neither party has a right to complain about it when something goes wrong and someone gets knocked up. All right, because now they really are responsible. All right, because we can argue that, yeah, people have sex drives, they're going to have sex. All right, that's just the world we live in. Or you know what? People get involved in relationships, and that's the other thing. There are people who are in relationships who do not want a child. All right, and they get knocked up and then they get roped into something that they don't want to be in, even while they're in a relationship. So this doesn't even have to be, what are we talking about here? Unmonogamous sex. These could be people who are in a monogamous relationship, and in some cases people who are married, who both parents do not necessarily want a child. This gives them the option to make sure it doesn't happen on their end. So then if it does, then clearly both parties decided it wasn't important enough for them to actually try to prevent it medically. So yeah, I think it's a big breakthrough. And I think it's a fascinating breakthrough. And it kind of sucks that it didn't get pushed through, because here's what it does. It opens another avenue for men to get legal prescription pharmaceutical grade testosterone without a social stigma attached to it. All right, and it also gives them the ability to have their blood work for it covered by insurance. So for a lot of guys who train and guys who want to mess with some of this stuff, but they don't want to always mess with all the costs or the risks of gear at all, the fact that they can get something like this on prescription with their insurance, and that their insurance will cover the blood work and stuff potentially, because this is a legitimate medical use, and most insurance companies will agree. They'll cover birth control for women for the same reason. It's simply cheaper on an insurance company to buy you contraception and to deal with the contraception than it is for you to have a child. All right, it's just that simple. It's more cost effective for them, so they're generally going to cover it. This is not going to be seen as a bad thing for them. they're going to spend less money. It's better for the insurance companies too. So this is kind of a win all the way around in a lot of ways, because again, a lot of guys that have access to this, and even if they were supplementing extra stuff, the point is it's going to give them access to blood work. Doctors who are doing their regular blood work and stuff already to make sure that they're healthy, while on the birth control, it's going to cover their other needs and stuff. So for the fitness community and training world, this is actually a big plus, because again, we're dealing here with, again, medically supervised, controlled testosterone. Right, another legitimate medical reason for testosterone with a prescription that gets you blood work. And that's a big deal to a lot of guys. Just the cost and stuff associated with the blood work. This gives you a legitimate medical need for it. So it can bring your costs down quite a bit, so that you guys can do the stuff that you want to do it, but you can do so in a healthy way that's being supervised by a physician. And I think that's a really important thing for the fitness community. Now, it would raise the question with a lot of guys, well, I've gone on male birth control, this prescription, am I still natty, bra? And I would say, no, you actually aren't, because even replacement doses of testosterone, and even the amounts they're using here, we've got medical studies showing they're going to give you a pretty good edge in muscle growth. How much of an edge? More so than every supplement, over-the-counter supplement on the planet has ever been found to have in studies. It's going to blow any supplement out of the water, even at that low of a dose. Even if you're paying a $10 copay once every 8 weeks for the prescription, it's going to be better than anything out there you're going to get over the counter. So the gains will be real from it. But would you be natty? No, I would say you cash in your natty card when you go on that there birth control. So I don't know. Hopefully guys will quit bitching about the side effects here, because honestly, to complain about 125 milligrams of testosterone every week, getting some acne and a higher sex drive, I'm sorry, that's just insane. Guys complaining about this, it's just comical to me. But hey, maybe these guys really were bothered by it. I don't know. But hopefully this comes back around. Hopefully the research looks at it differently. Maybe some medical doctors say, no, in spite of this research and the complaints there, we think this is valid use. Let's go ahead and get it put out there as a prescription. It seems to be fairly safe other than these minor side effects, so let's do it. And hopefully they do that, and if they do, it will be a game changer in a lot of ways for people who work out and exercise and train, because it's even going to affect the nature of drug testing, and that's going to be interesting. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.